Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Tyler, and today's video is entitled INTP Advice, Embrace the Pain. So I think this video will really resonate with INTPs because they feel out of place, they don't feel like they belong to society sometimes, and INTPs are pretty prone to become depressed, especially if things aren't going their way like they would like them to be. So I think this is an important video today to you just kind of have to realize that these things that come up in life, these inconveniences, these hard parts of our life that we have to get through, it's really not something that's bad. It's just something, it's a part of life. It's something that you have to deal with. And this video may help you kind of understand that concept. So I'm really just going to get right into it today. The main point that I want to make is suffering is just part of the human condition. There's this thing that we have where we have something bad happen to us and we feel bad about it, and then we think about that later and we feel bad about feeling bad. This is a big theme in the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F dash dash dash. And in that book, he gave it the name The Feedback Loop from Hell. And that's where you feel bad and then you feel bad about feeling bad, if that makes sense. And it's just this never-ending loop of depression, feeling off. And that's something you just have to realize, though, is that sometimes life's not going to go the way you want it to go. And that's what we're going to get into on this slide. So here's the thing, guys, and it's a sad, hard truth. No matter how hard we try, trials and hardships will always be a part of life. And as humans, we try to work towards a place where we don't have any worries, where we don't have any financial problems or health problems. But honestly, in reality, even when we get to a place where we would call financially secure, whatever you want in life, things are still going to pop up out of nowhere. And you have to be ready to take on these problems as they come. You can't have something happen to you and then just have that absolutely devastate you. You have to get back up on your feet. And so to think otherwise, that you're going to have this life free of problems, free of trials, that's just an illusion. That cannot happen. A part of the human condition is suffering. And if you get to a place where there is never any kind of suffering, never any kind of hardship, we're going to talk about later in this video about how that can really be even worse. That can make your life absolutely terrible and feel like you just not doing what you're meant to be doing. So what I want to try to get in your mind today is just forget about the fear. These things are going to come no matter what. You have to prepare yourself for these things, but many times you're going to have no idea what's going to happen. So really the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is to just accept this fact. That suffering is a part of the human condition and move on. I think this is the best approach. It's okay to have a day where you feel off, where you feel like things aren't going your way, you just don't feel it that day. Everybody has days like that. But like I was talking about in the negative feedback loop from hell, you're going to have the bad day and then you're going to sit later in the day at home and think, wow, what a terrible day I had. Why do I feel this way? Why can I just not have a happy day? Why didn't I just have a good day today? So instead of just accepting the fact that you had an off day and moving on, you're basically doubling your pain because you're having the off day where nothing goes right, and then you're feeling bad about that. What I want you to get into the mindset of is thinking, well, I just had a bad day. Oh, well, I'll do better tomorrow. Like I said, everybody has bad days. Everybody has days where they wake up and don't want to go to work, and they feel like they're not connecting. They feel like they're out of place. This is a part of the human condition. You have to realize that there's nothing wrong with this. This is just something you're going to have to accept about life. And we're going to talk about later in this video the movie Fight Club. That's a big theme in Fight Club, is the need for human suffering, and we're going to get into that. But sometimes it's good to have a little punch in the mouth. Maybe things are just going too well for you sometimes, and you feel like life's just boring, nothing is going on for you, and then something happens. Something negative happens, you lose your job. Whatever, something bad happens and you have to react. You have to be there for yourself to pick yourself up. And from time to time, this could have a overall positive impact on your life. This could be something that changes your approach, changes things so you realize things about yourself, like maybe you can take care of yourself, maybe you are worthy, and you look back on this punch in the mouth, so to speak, a year later, and it was great. It changed everything for the better. And like I brought up before, the movie Fight Club is a very good example of this point. The need for human suffering, the need for a punch in the mouth sometimes to get you out of these things. And if you haven't seen Fight Club before, I would recommend it. It is a very good movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I think especially as INTPs, we can relate with it. And I won't give away too much of the plot, but a lot of this just happens in the beginning of the film where the narrator, they never give his name, he is living a terrible life from his perspective. From the outside looking in, he looks like he has a good life. He has a good job. He has a apartment with all the IKEA furniture that he's been trying to save up for and get. He's in some ways living the American dream, buying himself things, living in the consumerism. But in the beginning of the movie, he just absolutely hates his life. He has fantasies of the plane that he's on crashing and him dying. He has to go around to help groups to just feel something because this life that he has is just not what he wants. And as INTPs, if you ever heard of the TISI loop of death, I have a whole separate video about that. This is a life that INTPs can really fall into. This life that, from the outside looking in, doesn't look too bad. You have a job, you're doing okay for yourself, but you just feel like something is missing. You feel like you're not living up to your full potential. You're not doing things that you want to do. So anyway, back to the movie. In the movie, the narrator meets Tyler Durden, who's played by Brad Pitt, on a plane, and he really changes his perspective. Tyler Durden has these ideas that, kind of resonates with the narrator, but he's not quite sure. He doesn't really know what to think of this guy. So in one of the scenes, after they meet at a bar, and Tyler Durden, this guy that he just met, says, "Punch me." And, the narrator's like, "What are you, crazy? Why would I punch you? Blah, blah, blah." And finally Tyler convinces him to punch him in the face, and they get into a fist fight. And, this is kind of what I was talking about, the punch in the mouth, so to speak. Waking up and finally doing something different, making a decision that's kind of risky maybe. Getting in a fist fight is going to cause you pain. It's going to make you possibly go to the hospital, have to, get on medication possibly if things get really bad. But sometimes, honestly, you just need things like this in your life. You need hardships. You need things to come out of the blue that you have to respond to. They talk about some of the greatest people ever to live, financially, running their own companies. The point that they really started from was rock bottom. You really learn a lot about yourself at rock bottom, and sometimes you just need something to happen to you to finally get you to that place where you realize, even if the worst thing in the world happens to you, you're still there. You can still take care of yourself. And this is really illustrated in the movie when they get into this fight and the narrator finally feels something, finally gets out of the monotony of day-to-day life. And after they get done with that, you can just tell the next day in the movie that he has a different mindset. He doesn't care as much. He has broken free from the TISI loop of death. And even though his apartment has burned down, he's lost all of his possessions. He lives with Tyler Durden in this run-down old house. And things continue to not go too well for him. He still feels alive. He feels better because he finally had a punch in the mouth. He's not living in that day-to-day life that he hated so much. He doesn't have as much fear. He's actually living a more positive life. And that's all I'm going to talk about when it comes to Fight Club. There's a lot of different themes in the movie, but I think this is one of the main points that they make, especially early on. Human beings have to have a form of suffering to really feel alive sometimes. If you get to a place in life where you're doing the same thing day after day, and you just feel like you're getting nowhere, that could be the worst form of suffering, where sometimes you just need something to happen. You need to make a risky decisions sometimes to get yourself out of that and just feel like you're living life. So that brings me to my next topic, the avoidance of pain. This is what I'm trying to get you away from, is living your life, making decisions based on what's going to cause the least amount of pain, possibly the least amount of suffering. Sometimes you just have to make a risky decision. Sometimes you have to go for what you feel in your gut is the right thing to do. So, like I said, people will many times base their entire life's decisions on what will cause them the least amount of pain. Where should I live? Should we have kids right now? Who should I be in a relationship with? A lot of these decisions are made not for what's the best thing to do, but what will possibly cause the least amount of pain. And this can include physical pain. This can include mental, emotional pain. And I'm not saying this is always a bad thing. You don't want to do things that cause you pain, but what I'm talking about here is going overboard. Maybe you're thinking about starting a business or starting a YouTube channel, whatever, and you think, well, I'm not going to do that because, if it doesn't go well, that's going to cause me pain, that's going to cause you suffering. And what I'm trying to say is if you do that and you do fail or whatever, it's still a good thing. It's still a good thing to at least try. Quit basing everything you do around what's going to cause the least amount of pain. That's just pure laziness. Quit letting fear control your life. And these people, again, will just worry about all these different things. What if I lose my job? What if my significant other leaves me? What if this happens? What if that happens? And I know this is a hard thing to do, especially if you're prone to worrying, especially if you have anxiety. It's not easy just to let these things go because you want to feel prepared for when these things come up. And what I'm saying is sometimes the thing you really worry about never really comes true. You spend all this time planning in your mind what you're going to do if this negative event happens, and then it just never happens. So I guess what I'm trying to say is just quit worrying about it. Things are going to come up in your life that you're going to have to deal with, and just accepting that fact is the best way to move forward. So I guess the point I'm trying to make on this whole slide is the avoidance of pain can sometimes create an even worse reality. Taking no risks, having all this anxiety, all this worry, this feeling of dread. This can come about from making decisions based on what's the easiest road. You need to start making decisions based on what your feelings are, what you think is the best route. Is the career I'm in the right career? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to start a family? Sometimes you just have to take a risk, and when you take that risk, you look back on it and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. I finally tried, I put myself out there, and it all ends up working out. And even if it doesn't, even if you end up failing, it's still okay. You tried, you lived life. You got yourself out of the day-to-day that you did not enjoy, that you did not like. So quit trying to live your life like this. Live your life based on your own path, your own decisions, and not what the easiest road might be. Alright, that brings me to my final topic here of the day. Choose your pain or it will choose you. So just accepting the fact that pain is a part of life is beneficial. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have things happen to you that's not good. What are you going to do about it? Did all that worrying you did actually help anything at all? But another way to think of this is, can you put yourself through some good kinds of pain? An example of this is exercising. Are you exercising? Are you working hard on your projects, on your relationships? These things are not easy to do. Doing these things is a form of punishment. When you work out for 30 minutes, that pain, that anguish, that sweat, that is not easy to do. But when you do something like that, you help yourself in the future. You're going to give off endorphins to make yourself feel better later. You're going to get in better physical shape. The kind of suffering that you're going to have from avoiding something like that, from never exercising, from never dieting, that's going to be, overweight. You're going to be obese possibly. You're not going to be in good physical shape. And that's an even worse form of suffering, in my opinion. Are you working hard on your projects? Are you trying to start your own business, start your own idea? Maybe you're trading stocks, something like that. That can also be a form of suffering, doing things like that. because instead of doing things that you might enjoy, like playing video games or watching YouTube videos all day, you're going to have to sacrifice that time to work on yourself, work on your projects. And if you don't have any of these things going on, especially as an INTP, I don't think that's a good situation to be in. INTPs, I believe, can really benefit from having a side thing, having a side business, whatever. And whether that business succeeds or not is not really the point. You're still trying, you're still getting yourself out of the day-to-day that you're just not living your life that you want to live. And like I've been saying, don't be afraid to choose a path because it's too hard or could cause you a little bit of suffering, even if you fail. As INTPs, I believe we were built almost more than anybody else to be able to take pain. It takes so much for a INTP to finally reach their breaking point. So you're telling me that if you try a project or try a business and it fails, that's just going to put you over the top. All that suffering you're going to have from failing is just going to be awful. But I do not believe that's true. Especially as an INTP, you can handle these things. In the end, you'll be glad that you at least tried. What was you going to do if you didn't try? Just sit around doing nothing? At least this way you're going to learn a lesson. Well, next time you start a different business, you don't want to do this. If your relationship didn't work out, I don't want a person that does this, this, and this next time. You learn lessons from these things, guys. Some overarching themes of this whole video is just choose the life that you want to live. Do not choose a life based on what the easiest route is, based on being lazy. INTPs really have a lot of potential, but that the majority of the time, I would say, goes to waste. INTPs want to live in their comfort. They want to live a life where they don't have to worry about anything. But as I've been saying throughout this whole video is that could be a very grave decision and a decision that you will come to regret later on in life. And my final point here today, guys, is just accept the pain, accept the hardships, and realize you're living life. This is a part of the human condition, and you are not above anybody else. If you have problems in your life, and you have problems that you think you cannot get over, I don't believe that's true. I believe you can get over it, especially as an INTP. You just need to take these lumps and move on. Just don't worry about it. Well, that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry it takes me so long to get these videos out. I've had this video made up for a while. I just didn't get a chance to record it, so I did finally get that chance today. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more content. I do have a lot of ideas. It just takes me some time sometimes to get them out. Also, if you found this video educational or helpful, please like it. That does help the YouTube algorithm, so I would really appreciate that. Also, comment below if you think of anything that you disagree with in my presentation. I love to debate, so always leave those comments. And I always appreciate the kind comments as well, saying these videos are helping you. That does keep me motivated to keep making these videos. And with all that being said, have a great day, and thanks again for watching.